Hey guys, welcome to another edition of Dan Does Tech Stuff. So today is the day. This is the end of an era. This is my good old friend, my launch switch from 2017, and this has been like my go-to handheld console for many years. Um, and up until recently, when we started having more like handheld PCs like the ROG Ally and the Legion Go, this was like my go-to handheld. So it's been crazy to think that 8 years have passed and the Switch 2 is upon us. Um, so we're gonna do an unboxing of the Switch 2 today, and let's go ahead and see what's in the box. So here it is. I can't believe it's here. So this is my launch Switch 2 I got from GameStop. So I was able to get my hands on the Mario Kart World Bundle. So the Switch 2 came in two iterations. They had the kind of the base bundle, base package, which was $449, and then you had to kind of bite the bullet and get the bundle for $499. So it's crazy to think that games are now $79 if you were to buy Mario Kart World. Like the cartridge by itself is 79, so you save like 30 bucks by buying into the bundle. But it's crazy, Nintendo's always been like uh I don't know if it's an affordable like console, because most of the Nintendo games never like go on sale. You find sales on games like on Steam, PSN or Xbox, but Nintendo games typically hold their value pretty well. So we'll see what's inside. You can see the box here. Looks pretty exciting. I think we will see what the Nintendo Switch 2 has to offer. But today we'll unbox it and get an idea of what's in the box. So super excited to get it. Again, 8 years in the making. And here we go. All right. So out the box, we got the screen, of course, the console, which is nice. We've got the Joy-Cons. So pretty sure we will get different colors, but right now we have kind of that kind of pale blue and kind of a orange. Okay. So let's take that out. Alright, what else do we have in the box here? Before we get into looking at the console, let's see what else is in the box. We've got some information here regarding usage, health, safety guidelines. Okay. I wonder if this bundle has like a code or something. Does it say anything about that? Does it have the code? It has a ultra high speed internet cable, which is nice. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, it kind of reminds me of like the other HDMI cable that came with the original Switch. Maybe a little bit shorter and darker color. The other one's kind of gray. So maybe this is I'm pretty sure it's probably HDMI 2.1, right? Okay. Nintendo's actually making that jump into like the HD, Ultra HD game here. Okay, so these are for attaching to the console to make them like mouse or mice. Yeah, all right. That's the big iteration or innovation this particular cycle of consoles is the Joy-Cons are now doubling as a mouse or a mice for certain games like Civilization, which is pretty cool. Because those RTS games, you need you can't really play them on an analog stick, so that makes kind of the best of both worlds happen. Okay, nothing else in this box here. Let's take a look at the dock. Is that the dock? Oh no, this is the This is the Joy-Con adapter controller if you want to play a dock. I've actually, to be honest, never used this, so, but I will try. Okay, so it has the magnetic kind of ports there to attach it to. All right. Again, I hardly ever use this, not even on the Switch 1, but it's good to have because they'll sell you one for like 20 bucks for sure. Let's take a look at the power brick. is a USB cable that comes with it. So USB on both sides. Now, Nintendo's always gonna say you need to use our official license or official Nintendo power brick because of the wattage. But let's see, this is looks like a 60 watt power brick. So it's a chunker. It doesn't fold inwards, that sucks. But plug that in, so you get that. Alright. Moving right along. Let's take a look at the dock here. Ooh, okay. Alright, so the dock here, nice. Has a lot more of an oval cornered design versus the original dock. See, this has the fan on it, I believe. Oh, gosh, I wish it had some type of attachment where it doesn't just fall right off, because I can see this like being misplaced. So it is what it is. Let's take a look what kind of ports they have. Okay, so very similar to the original dock on the Switch 1. So you have, okay, that's the power. I was gonna say, does it have extra like USB stuff on here? So that's where you would hook up the power. You got your HDMI out, and then ooh, just like the OLED Switch, you have the Ethernet port built into the dock, which is nice. Ooh, okay, and then you have a couple extra USB cable ports here. Wish they had some USB-C. That would have been nice to have more USB-C. Come on, Nintendo, we're in the USB-C era. Alright, so inside this housing here is a fan to cool it down if you're playing for long periods of time. And the new Switch here does output up to 4K 120, so it probably will get heated. Alright, so I'm already having trouble here putting it back on. Okay, line up the vents and close. Maybe me user error. You know what it looks like to me? It actually looks like a toaster, right? It could be a toaster. Alright. Alright, so that's stuck. Let's take a look at the console itself then. So, nothing else in the box. Pretty simple setup. Pretty simplistic what's in the box. Alright, let's put that aside. Let's take a look at the console itself. So here's my dock. Put it right there. Boom. These are for the mice. Mice, is that called mice? Two of them is mice. One of them is mouse. Alright, take a look at the Joy-Cons here. Ooh. That feels nice. Ooh, having that bigger size, that makes a difference. And the analog sticks, let's see what the original ones feel like. Let's see, does this work? Nope, doesn't work. I tried. Nope, so it doesn't dock the original Switch. So oh, these feel tiny. I don't even have like large hands. Gosh, these feel micro. Okay, now let's take a look at the Switch 2 Joy-Cons. Oh, it feels so much better. Wow, that's a big difference. Easy to press these buttons, but these are a micro. These always kind of like pinched into my thumbs. Okay, and these are a little bit larger. Yeah, so definitely the larger size is a welcome addition. Okay, wow. Okay, anything else different? Let's line these up. Blue. Okay, so the SL and the SR buttons are much larger. It's crazy to think that's what we had. Look how tiny those are. Okay, so the LED indicator lights to see which player you are now on this side. versus that. Okay. Joy-Con wise, the analog stick is a little bit larger, and it definitely has more range. This one always felt like it was just something that was kind of sticking out, and this one feels a little bit more like a conventional console. So welcome change on the top here. Okay, bigger is for sure. It's nice. All right, same thing on this side. Let's see, anything different? I'm matching color to color. Let's go side by side. Okay, so we're doing right side, right side. You can see it looks like it may be like 15% bigger, 20% bigger, something like that. You got the C button here. I guess this is for the camera. I didn't buy a camera adapter. I'd never use it. So wish it was something else, but I was thinking might have been to activate the mouse feature. Okay, so good. Buttons are bigger. And yeah, now let's take a look at the console itself. Oof. Let's take a look here. Bigger screen. Wow, that's huge. Wow. Okay. So it doesn't look that big on the promotional stuff, but golly, look at that. That is huge. That is bad. That's big. Look at this. Okay, where's the original Switch at? Oh, here it is. Look at that. That's a huge size difference. Wow. Okay, so the original Switch screen here, I think it was 6.2 inches. Okay, and this is 7.9. Wow, so that's a huge difference. And look at the screen. You can see like, so these are both LCD, but this is the improved technology for LCD. And look at the bezel here, it's huge. All right, but let's attach the Joy-Cons to this for the Switch 2. And let's listen to this. I hear it's really interesting. Nice. And oh, that's great. Okay, let's try that again. How do I? Oh, okay. So there's a button in the back. So this button here, that's the releasing mechanism. So it's all magnetic. And let's try it again. That's great. That's satisfying. Oh, super easy. And I'm gonna do the flex test. Okay, so it feels good. It feels like it's a whole unit. And that's so cool. So this port right here, this is what makes it all work via magnets. It does look like it could be compromised over time, but we will see. I mean, obviously Nintendo's a multi-billion-dollar company, so they probably put a bunch of R&D into making sure this guy here is as strong as it can be, because that's about it. And once you break that, I'm pretty sure you're kind of SOL. Oh man, that feels cool. Let me go see what the original feels like. Okay, so attach the Joy-Cons back onto this. That's crazy. Switch 1 and Switch 2. Okay. Oh, it's hard to go back after you do that. Oh, wow. Okay. Alright. So let's explore what we got on this console here. Alright. So we've got the back. Okay, so let's take a look at the stand. Can you believe this is the stand that we had to use? This little flimsy thing right there versus what they got now. And this one here looks like it's got all kinds of range. Look at that. Look at that range on that. That's pretty sweet. Okay, so underneath, okay, so this is where your micro SD Express cards go. So that's gonna be a new faster SD cards. I think they go like to 800 megabits per second, so much faster. Okay, we've got some rubber grips here, which is nice, especially if you're playing tabletop mode. Big old Switch 2 emblem there. Looks like it's printed on. Okay, let's look at the top. So the top here has your power button, has your volume rocker. Okay, it has I believe that's a light sensor, so that way it can help with the lights. You got your fan grill here. Probably sure it gets pretty hot. USB-C for charging and connecting peripherals to it. I wish they had more. Ooh, okay, so you have your 3.5mm jack, so 3.5 jack is still intact. Microphone and game card. Okay, so this is where your games go. So same, and it looks like there's a housing there, so that way you can keep your games in place. The side profile, that's what it looks like. Side profile. It's very thin. Let's see, compared to the original. The original launch Switch actually looks a little bit beefier on the side weight-wise. Weight-wise, let's see. Okay, so slightly heavier. I can feel that it's slightly heavier, so you might have a little bit more hand fatigue. But obviously with the bigger screen, I'd imagine bigger battery, it's going to give it a little bit more heft, but it's not as heavy as it looks, right? Okay. On the bottom, you got some maybe speaker grills, extra fan vent for ventilation, and then pretty simple, we've got the USB-C bottom charger, just like the original Switch. Okay. But overall, it does feel nice. It's crazy to think the Switch 1 is being put into the pastures. I'm pretty sure they're going to keep selling it for a little bit of time. But let's go ahead and compare this launch Switch with an OLED Switch that I got. And I think this one came out in, I think a little bit after like after COVID, 2021, I think. Okay, so if you put them all side by side, you get good, better, best. So look at, so the launch Switch 6.2 inch LCD screen. Colors always seemed a little bit washed out, but it was fine at the time. And then I think this is going to be the Switch Pro, but I think due to like some shortages in parts and components, they just ended up sticking with the internals of the original Switch 1 and basically just improving on the screen. They made a bigger screen. I think this screen here was like 7-inch screen. Yeah, 6.27. And then I think they updated the internal memory and gave it a better kickstand. Check this out. So here's the kickstand for the Switch OLED, which is so much better. Full range. And then you get your memory card there. And now the Switch 2. Look at that. Let's compare these two. They're more contemporary. Huge. Look at that screen. It's ginormous. What the heck? Alright. That is crazy. And then, of course, the stand. It looks like you could be able to hang this up on something, maybe. Just the way it's... And it's metal. So this is metal, which is nice. So this is a metal stand. And when I first saw it, I actually thought, man, that could break if it's made of plastic. So I'm glad it's metal. Okay. So with that said, launch Switch 2017, 8 years difference. We'll see if it makes a difference. This is the Switch 2 with the 7.9-inch screen, larger Joy-Cons, has an SD card. Sorry, it's backward compatible with Switch games, and I think with these consoles here, you have to temper your expectations. For me, my expectation for the Switch 2 really is, as long as it opens up a new genre, a new category of games for the Switch 2, that's great. So I'm looking forward to that. I would say the launch games for the Switch 2 weren't as robust. It has a lot of third-party games, and with that, I think the only real first-party game that came out is Mario Kart World, and I'll give you my impressions when I fire that up. But otherwise, it's only third-party games which I own on other systems, so it's TBD on how the games will turn out. But Nintendo is one of those companies that seems to pump out games left and right, even on the Switch 1 till the very end, which they'll still have probably duality between the two consoles until it begins to fade. But I think they've sold 172 million consoles, so this bad boy is still going to be in the market, still going to be a cash cow as Nintendo kind of revs up this. But at $80 per game, ooh, that's going to be a hard swallow, hard pill. Even for me, I'm going to be a little bit more conservative with the games that I buy, and if it's not like a Nintendo first party game, I'll probably buy it on a PlayStation 5 or PC or Xbox. So that's kind of my mindset on buying games for a console like this. Okay, so let's recap. Put this old Switch away in the box, in the good old Switch 2 box, which was pretty simple, straightforward. I didn't see a Mario Kart World thing on there. Huh. It wasn't there. I'll have to check. So in the box, you get your console with the Joy-Cons. Let's try that again. I like the way. Oh, that's cool. Neat. Ah, that's great. Okay. So you get your Switch console. You get your 60... I think it's a 60-watt charger brick. USB-C to C cable. You get your joystick attachment. Let's see what that feels like. Now that I have it here, and I never use it, but I could. Okay. Oh, okay. Feels just like the console. It's not bad. Not bad. I could try that. I may opt to go with the Pro controller. Alright, you get that, and you get your USB-C. Oh, we didn't try these guys out. So these are the mouse attachments. Let's see. Alright, so this is supposed to go like right here. And okay. So it's supposed to go like that. That way, okay, so that's a sensor there for the mouse. Okay, so that's a sensor for the mouse. I know when they had like Nintendo leaks that it was gonna have that capability. Everybody was like, wow, if it does have that, that's gonna be amazing. So we'll see what games end up coming out that supports that feature. Okay, all right. So there you go. You have, I think there's a game that's like, it uses two mouses like this for locomotion, but we'll see. So you get that, and that's it. Alright guys, well, if you found value in this video today, go ahead and hit that like button. It really helps the channel out. If it's your first time coming to the channel, please consider hitting that subscribe button. It really helps folks like yourself and others be exposed to my content, and hopefully you'll stay tuned and watch me kind of do more of a deeper dive with the Switch 2, the game's backward compatibility, kind of overall expectations and tempered expectations. Again, my number one thing for buying the Switch 2 is seeing what Mario Kart World is like, because I'm a big Mario Kart avid fan. Like, I love racing games, but also for Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild, those Zelda games where it has an HD update. I'm looking forward to that, and seeing how, again, playing my old Switch game 2s on here with better frame rates, better resolution, and so more quality improvements overall. Okay, all right, thanks for watching. We will catch you on the next video. With that said, Take care of yourself and each other. Bye for now.